everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Card. The energy right now is all about healing. And ever since the full moon that we had on March 28th, the energy of healing has been really intense. So I've been looking into that. I've been feeling it myself, but I've been looking into it, asking the team, and here's what we're seeing. There is a lot of active Chiron energy. So Chiron is a planetoid that affects all of us in our chart. It represents the wounded healer. And this planetoid deals with issues where we feel that we need deep healing, or there is something in our life that we have a hard time healing, right? So it's kind of a core issue that always needs to be healed. And the mythology around Chiron is that he himself was a great healer in Greek mythology. He was a great healer, but he suffered from a wound that he himself couldn't heal. So although he could heal others, he couldn't heal this wound in himself. And so that's what this energy represents, is what in you still needs healing, feels like it's constantly coming up to heal. You probably already know what that is. Well, ever since the full moon on the 28th, we've had a lot of active Chiron energy because Chiron is in Aries right now, and the sun is in Aries right now. And so with that conjunction, we're under this conjunction for about 28, 30 days of experiencing it. So everybody is going to have their Chiron more activated, but more specifically with Chiron and Aries, the focus is on healing you, healing your self-image, healing what you think about yourself, right? So the core issues about self are coming up, but we also have Venus pairing with Chiron, which helps us to look at what needs healing in relationships. We have Saturn working with Chiron, which helps us deal with energy around authority and authority wounds that we may have. So as you can see, there's just a lot of healing energy. And the thing about healing is the way I like to kind of remember it, because I get one of those mentalities around healing where healing is going to feel like this. It's going to feel like I'm here, I'm holding myself, everything's okay. That's what I picture healing as, because I think I need to picture it like that so that I move in that direction. But what we can know about healing's a lot like when we have a physical wound, right? When we're healing a physical wound, we're going to feel the physical pain. And as that physical pain starts to subside, we're going to feel irritation many times, right? If the skin is healing, it'll get itchy or irritated, or it'll still feel raw. And it takes a while. And we accept that about physical healing. We understand how it works. We can watch it working. And so therefore we understand that even though it still feels like crap, something good is happening. Well, on an emotional and energetic level, it's the same principle where you are healing, you are moving through something and to the other side of something. And yet, because it can feel heavy and dense and hurt, feel like crap, we have a hard time knowing in our own self if it's actually happening, if healing is happening. So, this is an intense energy for people. And I personally have felt like it's been very draining. It's throwing off my schedule. It's throwing off how I like to do things, but I have to prioritize it because at this point in time, you really can't avoid the healing work. Either you will feel the pain and recognize it and realize that this is an opportunity to move through something, or you won't feel pain, or you will feel pain, but you won't understand what you're going through. And so you'll continue to kind of recycle or go through that vicious cycle of pain suppression, pain reemerging, and so on. So the answer right now, again, it's still, you've got to be gentle with yourself, right? You can't force healing. You can't force it. It's going to take the time it takes. And I feel like that's the message, like the dominant message from the team and the universe right now is to heal. It takes time, and it's going to take the time it takes. And no amount of impatience on our part can change that, right? That we just have to be okay with some things take time. And, one of the many sayings that we have is good things take time. And I do believe that we're going towards something good. We're working out whatever toxins there are in our life, whatever low vibrations are left, they are being worked through. And we're getting a lot of assistance, energetically speaking, to allow this healing. The Schumann just keeps jumping up. We keep getting this influx of energy. So these are all helping us. However, that's just like antiseptic on a wound, right? So when you're using the antiseptic on a wound, it's actually helping. It's speeding up the process. It's helping you cleanse. But it hurts like a mofo when you have to experience it. Many people resist using it because they know it's going to hurt more. And you just, you have to get through that. You have to get to that place again of acceptance, of knowing that this too shall pass. The pain is temporary. I think a lot of us, I think everybody's had that experience where they're just trying to avoid pain. And eventually we all learn that there's no avoiding the pain. If you want to heal it, you have to go through it. And we're in that moment now. We are in that go through it, right? Chiron is there holding us, and it's loving, healing energy, but saying, hey, look at all these things that need healing. Look at all these parts of you that would like to now unify and become more whole. Well, you have to walk through that pain to have that experience, to have that unification. So it's a really important time to continue to take it easy. Know that you are healing. And I think holding that thought helps us to ground into that awareness and that energy, and that's going to make this easier. It's not going to be easy, but holding that awareness that I'm actually indeed healing right now, that'll make it easier. So I want to give you the message for the karma cards this week. For those of you who've never done karma cards, let me go over it with you really quick. I have 3 decks here. I have the planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team in spirit, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers that come up on these cards. I've got action-related answers and outcome-related answers. And the way that you play is you decide whether you need action-related answers right now or outcomes. So this is for today, April 1st through April 7th. And the flavor of this reading is the sun, which I always love to find the sun, in Aquarius, which is the age that we're in right now, in the 10th house, which represents the external world and your place in the external world. So we're looking at career, your long-term goals, the future. Those who are choosing red action, your spiritual action at this time is to demonstrate your vision responsibly. Demonstrate your vision responsibly. I think it's really interesting. Saturn rules the 10th house. So the ideas of responsibility and maturity are coming up. And I think what one of these things is just understanding that you are going through this healing process. So is everybody else. This is affecting everybody. Cosmic placements affect all of us, whether we're aware of it or not, right? So I think that that gentleness that my team's saying, grant yourself patience and understanding. You're going through a healing process, but we're also having to be responsible about the fact that so is everybody else, right? And so not everybody handles healing efficiently. Some people are naturals at it. They just, they go all in. They give their all to the healing process because they understand it. And then you have people on the other end of the spectrum, which are avoiding it like the plague, right? But again, we can't avoid this. We can't really avoid it. Nothing heals until you feel it and move through it. So demonstrate your vision responsibly is you've got to just have that awareness of you might have moved through a layer of this healing process, and that's great. some others might be struggling around you during the time. So when you're ready to have that aha moment, and you're like, this is where I'm going, and now I'm going to just drop this, I'm going to drop victimization, or I'm going to drop, being divisive, or whatever it is that you've moved through. That's great. Read the room, right? Like, make sure that when you're sharing that vision of how you're moving forward, that you're in a space that's receptive to what you're saying, because a lot of people can, during times of deep healing, right, we can really be, if we're not in a mindful state, we can easily project onto others and take things the wrong way. That can happen. So again, it's just asking you to be like aware of where people are at, and be in that space where you're sort of, I was going to say, like, monitoring. Is this the appropriate moment? And there will be that time. All right, mental action at this time. Realize what's new and different about success. Yeah, so in the new age, the new energy, the higher new earth timeline, success has a very different feel to it. As we move higher up in consciousness, we are less materialistic. So material rewards of success, and we're also less focused on outcomes, which tends to be tied to materialism, right? Because materialism is about the end product. This is what I got, right? So as we move higher up in consciousness, we tend to be less about outcomes and more about the process. We're more interested in the process. And the process is really what it's all about. We don't really want the end. We want to keep progressing and expanding. So our mindsets, whether we're consciously shifting it or we're just allowing ourselves to be in flow, we're shifting out of that the goal-oriented destination, final outcome, end game mindset, and into one of more of curiosity of the journey that we're on, and really, I think, seeing success in a light that we're less focused on accomplishment and more focused on expansion, if that makes sense. The physical action at this time: act like a leader, use an unconventional way, and become a person of power and status. Now, this whole phrase right here sounds very old paradigm to me, so I'm going to hear it in that newer energy, because everything else about this is this new awareness in this reading. So the new awareness of act like a leader, use an unconventional way, and become a person of power and status. This power and status, the old paradigm was like everybody else is acknowledging your power and status. That's not what this is about. This new paradigm of energy is about power and status as in sovereignty, responsibility, maturity, that kind of status, right? Act like a leader, meaning it's in your hands. This is in your hands. Use an unconventional way. That's Aquarius, right? So I feel like without trying, we are naturally moving towards unconventional ways of moving forward and standing in ourselves. And then become a person of power and status is recognize your own value, right? The old paradigm was like, if I have power and status, everybody else will see it, and then they will acknowledge that I am a person of value. And the new paradigm, where we really want to be, the point of evolution, is to recognize that you were born with power. Every being alive is born with inherent power, and that your value is also inherent. It's already there. And it's the recognition of you by you, right, that helps you know that. You don't need the external world to validate whether you're a powerful person or not. Because if we give it to that, there will always be some out there who will tear you down because you're giving them the opportunity. So this is about claiming it for yourself, which means you also claim all the responsibility and the maturity that comes with having personal power and a sense of worth. Okay, so let's go into outcomes. So these are the outcomes for the sun in Aquarius in the 10th house of the external world. and career long-term goals. The spiritual outcome is the creation of genius to experiment with your destiny. I love that. The creation of genius to experiment with your destiny. Again, destiny, what I love about destiny, it's not the same as fate. A lot of times they kind of get tied together. Destiny is what you wrote for yourself. These are what you wrote for yourself before you got here. But guess what? These contracts that we often talk about, like soul contracts or soul blueprints, these are, there's a certain sort of initial imprint that gets made and held. And how do I know this? In palmistry, you have two hands, right? And you have one that represents your stamped blueprint, which is your non-dominant hand. And then you have the journey or the map you're writing, which is your dominant hand, right? So we have a stamped imprint of our divine soul blueprint that we came in here with, but we were also given the documents to continue writing, rewriting, unwriting, canceling, adding to our own destiny. You get to experiment. That's why we have free will. If we didn't have free will, you would be on sort of a track, like a train, moving into a very specific direction. But because of free will being a universal law, you have your original stamped out idea, and then you have the one that you're writing, and you can consult, you can merge, you can look at what you have written. And if you're like, you know what, this story, I'm tired of healing this specific wound. In fact, I would like to move on. I see that I've carried it with me through lifetimes, or I feel I've carried it with me through lifetimes. I'm ready to drop that now. I want to go this way. This way feels better at this point. And you have the freedom to do that. So this is talking about the genius to experiment with your destiny, which is so beautiful. And I think that definitely comes with that personal power, maturity, and responsibility quotient activating. The mental outcome at this time, the gaining of respect from or for, the discoveries of where you're going, right? It's so beautiful. Gaining of respect from or for the discoveries of where you're going. So just like I was talking about with these two maps and how you might sense that there's a better direction, a direction that, like, for example, let's say in your soul blueprint, because of lifetimes of working through this, you wrote in that you were going to, excel at overcoming pain. You wanted to show yourself how strong you are by always giving yourself an example of how you can overcome pain. And now today you're on your path and you've experienced a lot of pain, which you keep bouncing back from, but you realize now with all this awareness and with all this new energy coming in, that why do you even have to do that? You've done it now. You've done it so many times. You've done it maybe lifetimes, that overcoming pain now isn't even a challenge anymore. Now it's just a hindrance, and it feels like a rut, like you're stuck in a rut. And new awareness comes in that allows you to realize that what if pain doesn't have to be the path anymore? What if you can have a path of ease and grace, right? So this is that dawning and understanding and learning to, learning to use this power of choice in a more conscientious way, getting even more specific and conscientious. It's beyond manifesting and it's into actualization. I can shift this, and I'm choosing to shift this, and I am now choosing this path because this is my destiny too. Because I just said it, I just claimed it, right? So this idea that destiny is like fate, that it's pulling you in that direction, there is some truth to that, but there's also this other powerful pull of you choosing, but this choice has to be done with great will, right? So we have to draw in that inner power. That's why we keep getting these messages to activate sovereignty, to activate responsibility and maturity, because you can change your own destiny through the power of your will, but it must be strong, and it must be a committed, conscious, deep choice to move in a new direction. And I'm seeing that we have this opportunity, which is beautiful. The physical outcome at this time, things brought to life or light resulting from the eccentricity of your career, right? All right. Things brought to life or light resulting from the eccentricity of your career. The word career can really make this feel like it's all about what you're doing in the world. And I think that another way to see the word career or that energy, yes, it can literally mean your career, but I feel like it's what you devote your time to the most, what you put out into the external world the most is like a career. The only difference is that we may or may not get paid for that, but you're committing your life to it and you keep putting it out there in the world. And this is one of the ways that you could define energetic career. Resulting from the eccentricities of your career, right? So that's Aquarius, the eccentricities part. We're just in this time. Eccentricities, another way to say that is it hasn't been seen before, or it's seen very rarely, right? What you do, what you're constantly putting out into the world over and over again, and what you're doing in a way that's rare is going to bring in new energy, right? It's just going to bring in something new. And that is the time period that we're under the influence now. We're under the influence of the visionary and the cutting edge. So for those who are comfortable being a little different or out there, right? This is our time to shine. You know, the happy weirdos of the world. It's our time to shine. But I find that any energy that you are expressing that feels different to you, that is going to give you new information. So when you're expressing yourself into the external world in a way that's unique or different to you, that is where the light of information, and light literally also means wisdom, right? So the word light here, life or light, that means and you're going to see it and you're going to experience it and have a knowing of it because of something new and different that you're putting out in the world. So as you can see, this is all about how we're in the external world in a different way, and how we're calling in our place in the external world, right? Some of us have really had to pull in and re-examine how we want to be in the world, what our goals were. And many people in this time period have found that their original goals that worked just a couple years ago, they don't work now. And it has nothing to do with the outside world and the games that they play. It literally has to do with what you feel aligned to. And so therefore, things that don't align to you anymore, you're ready to just let it go because it doesn't even interest you. It lacks substance and depth that people are craving now. They want substance and depth in their life. They want to heal. They want consciousness. They want to expand, and it's in there, right? So whether they're actively, consciously moving towards these things, they're still being magnetically pulled to them as well. And for those of you who are listening and engaging with this video, you most definitely have got this. You probably have examples already that you could share that show that you've already shifted some long-term North Star destiny-related goals into something that feels more in alignment, more fluid, and satisfying to you now. So I'm wishing you all the best on your healing journey this week. I'm wishing you all the best on these new ways that you're going to express yourself in the outside world. And I wish you a happy Easter, and I hope that you have a beautiful week. And I will see you next week for Karma Cards. Love you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.